everyone. This is Judy from Hypia, and today we'll be interviewing Priscilla. Hi, Priscilla.
Hi, Judy. Thanks for having me. It's really nice to talk to you.
Thanks for being on the show. And yeah, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. We are going to talk about your language profile and your interests. So, first of all, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, of course. My name is Priscilla Nascimento in Portuguese. I'm Brazilian.
Mhm.
I live in São Paulo. I was born here, but I grew up in a city called Sorocaba, which is about 100 kilometers from São Paulo. My
Mhm.
parents were born there, but my sister and I were born here in São Paulo.
Oh, okay. And you have a very special last name, right? Nascimento?
Yeah,
Nascimento.
Nascimento.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that a common last name in Brazil?
yeah. Very common.
Oh,
It means birth,
yeah,
actually.
yeah. Okay. And yeah, could you walk us through your language journey? What are the languages that you speak, and how did you get started on that?
Okay. Yeah, so when I was a child, I only spoke Portuguese. My parents, relatives, friends only spoke Portuguese. But when I was about 6 or 7, I started learning English at a language school and later also at my regular school, because English is a mandatory subject here in Brazil. And I have always liked reading. We had many books at home. And so I got interested in languages. And when I was a teenager, I think I was 13, I started learning Italian, then French, Spanish, um, German, and finally Russian. And these are the languages that I speak today, at different levels. Some of them at B1, B2 level, and some of them at C1 or C2 level. But yeah, I have proficiency certificates of all these languages, at least B1.
Well,
But I didn't study them for a very long time. I took some courses, I had some private lessons, but only English and German I studied for a longer period of time. And
mhm,
as for English, when I was 14, I went to the United States for the first time. I went to Florida.
mhm.
I stayed there for 1 month. I lived with an American family and I had English classes. It was a great experience. Everything
Mhm.
was new because we didn't have internet back then.
Yeah. Oh.
So yeah, it was really different. And later, when I was 16, I went to California as an exchange student. I stayed there for 6 months. I also
Mm.
lived with an American family and went to high school, which was
Yeah.
great. I could improve my English, but it was also very hard because we didn't have internet. So I had to write letters to my parents and friends, and yeah, I could call them once a week because it was very expensive. And but it was a great experience. And then I came back and I knew that I wanted to work with languages. So I studied at two different universities. I studied German and Portuguese at the University of São Paulo, where I also did my master's degree later. And I studied at the Mackenzie University, what we call translation studies. And
Mhm.
the languages were English and French and Portuguese, of course. But I have also taken several language courses, just for some months or some weeks, just to learn a little bit about the language, some basic sentences and words. Yeah, to understand a little bit about the structure of the languages and about the culture
Mhm.
behind the language. So I learned a little bit of Latin and Tupi, which is a Brazilian indigenous language, Old
Oh.
Tupi, actually. But these were actually mandatory subjects at university. But I also studied a little bit of Romanian, Armenian, Dutch, Basque, ancient Greek, modern Greek. What else? Esperanto.
Mm.
But that was online a little bit later, but at the beginning of the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did that almost all of it when I was still a student or right after university because later I had to work more. I didn't have much time. I met my husband. We had kids. So I didn't have any time for languages at all. Only for German because I worked with German. Yeah, but it was worth it, of course.
Mm.
And when my kids got a little bit bigger, a little bit more independent, I
Mhm.
could pick up the language again that I could already speak and learn a little bit of new ones. In the last years, I learned a little bit of Hebrew, Japanese, Arabic, and Turkish. Yeah.
Mm.
And this year, I've been learning Dutch. I I needed a break from very difficult languages, so I
Mm.
decided to learn Dutch again because it's not very hard for me because I speak English and German and I understand things easily and I can memorize words easily.
Mm.
So yeah, it's been very nice. And yeah, I've been working as a teacher, mainly as a German teacher for
Mhm.
over 25 years.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm really glad I chose German because at the time I thought, German is more difficult than the other languages that I could already speak, French, Spanish, Italian, because I speak Portuguese as my first language. And there aren't many people in Brazil who speak German compared to the other languages. So it was a very good choice. I had many opportunities with German. I could go to Germany, I could study there for a while. I met many people, I have many friends. Um, and I have German colleagues, and we have trainings, meetings in German. That's the language, the only language actually that I really use,
Mhm.
besides Portuguese, of course. And I'm also a teacher trainer.
Yeah.
I don't like the word trainer very much, but yeah, I work in teacher training. I work with courses for teachers who are starting their career or want to develop some skills or yeah, just want to stay up to date.
Mm. Do you teach at a school setting or
No, I
online?
teach adults. Yeah, I
Oh,
work
okay.
at the Goethe Institute.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
so mainly adults, sometimes teenagers and teachers.
Oh,
I work also with teachers. Yeah.
wow, cool. And when you choose your next languages to learn, how do you make a decision as to which language you would like to learn?
I don't really know actually. Sometimes I see something about it and I think, oh, interesting. Or I have a friend that has been studying it, and he or she tells me, oh, I've been studying that. It's very interesting. Because I don't really need new languages for my life, I mean, but I like learning them. So, yeah.
Hmm. Okay, and how did you find out about Hypia?
Um, I don't really remember it very well. I saw something on Facebook. I
Hmm.
don't use social media very often, but I saw a post about someone who was a member of Hypia. And I thought, oh, how interesting. Maybe I could also join it. So I
Hmm.
Googled it. And yeah, then I wrote an email to Matthias Barmat. And yeah, some weeks later, I joined Hypia. Yeah, and I'm
Oh,
really glad that I did it. It's been really fun because
yeah.
we can chat with so many people and we learn so many different things. And people are always willing to help you.
Hmm.
And there are some groups where we can practice specific languages. And sometimes we meet online and can talk. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really great.
Okay. And now that I know that you have kids, although they're grown up, I want to ask if you taught your kids all the languages you speak, or
No, no, we just spoke Portuguese.
yeah.
My kids are now 15 and 10, actually, but we only spoke Portuguese because it wasn't very natural for us to speak other languages. My husband speaks a little bit of English, a little bit of German, but we speak Portuguese with each other. But I think it's very important for them to learn English. They have been learning English, and my 15-year-old started learning German last year. But yeah, I think it's very important for them to learn English first, and if they want to learn other languages, yeah, they can do that, of course.
Hmm. Okay. And you also mentioned that you have a degree in translation. Do you translate or not?
No, I've always worked as a teacher, actually. I have never really worked as a translator. I helped some friends with, for example, with articles they had to translate. But yeah, I have mainly worked as a teacher, which I like very much. It's very
Hmm.
interesting. It can be really pleasant and rewarding. It's sometimes very tiring. I
Yeah.
think teachers are the only people who work before work, during work, and after work because they have to prepare classes, they have to teach the class, and they have to correct tests, text, homework. But like I said, it can be really rewarding and but also challenging because people are different. And even if you have a class with students who are the same age, for example, or who are all beginners, they are simply different. They have different backgrounds, experiences, interests, difficulties, needs, preferences. So it's really hard it's challenging actually to plan a lesson
Hmm.
for everybody so that everyone uh, reaches the goal, no, achieves the goal of that class because we want that the students can do something at the end of the class that they couldn't before that class. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's nice, but it can be also very challenging.
Okay. And I also read that you tried learning Japanese, or do you speak Japanese?
Yeah, I started last year, or 2 years ago. Yeah, I learned a little bit. It was really, really interesting, and that's a language I would like to keep on studying maybe next year, because I really enjoyed it and I like the culture very much. My husband and my kids always watch anime, so I listen to Japanese a lot. Yeah, that's a language I would like to keep on learning. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other languages that you would like to learn in the future?
Um, I think it would be interesting to learn a Scandinavian language, and
Mm.
I think that wouldn't be very difficult. I thought maybe Swedish and yeah, maybe Chinese because I sometimes feel it's a gap in
Hmm.
my resume that I have never studied Chinese. Yeah, I think it would be really interesting and really mind-blowing. And yeah, and maybe also Korean. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And lastly, do you have any tips or advice for people who are learning languages?
Well, I think languages are fascinating, and that's why
Mm.
I learned them. I think it's really amazing how human beings can express themselves in so many different ways, in so many beautiful ways. So it's really nice if you have the chance to learn a new language. You become more open, you become more tolerant. And
Hmm.
I think that's very important, not only for the world, but also for yourself.
Hmm.
Life is a lot easier if you're
Mm.
open and tolerant. And yeah, it broadens your mind and it can create, of course, many opportunities. Um,
Hmm.
and but you have to be motivated and yeah, people talk a lot about motivation, there is this the external one, the extrinsic
Hmm.
one. Now you learn a language because you will get a reward or because you have a purpose. For example, you're going to work or study in the country where the language is spoken. But
Hmm.
there's also the internal, the intrinsic motivation. You learn the language because you enjoy it, because you like it, because you have fun. And this is more important than the other one. And of course, it doesn't exclude the external motivation, the extrinsic one. But people talk a lot about motivation, but I think discipline is sometimes more important than motivation because sometimes you aren't motivated. But if you have discipline, you do it. You wake
Hmm.
up and do it, and it becomes a habit. You do it every day, and so you can improve little by little each day. Uh, and yeah, I think it's a challenge. It's really fun. It can be really fun. I really enjoy the challenge. I like
Hmm.
understanding things and memorizing words and being able to understand something that I read. And also, it's great to meet people that you wouldn't meet if you didn't speak that language. But it can also be very tiring and frustrating sometimes because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of patience, a lot of time, and you have to be okay with mistakes because you're going to make mistakes.
Hmm.
That's okay. Nobody's perfect and nobody expects you to be perfect,
Hmm.
but you have to enjoy the process, yeah,
Yeah.
knowing that there are many difficulties, but
Yes.
yeah, you have to enjoy the journey, just like life, actually. You have to enjoy every day. Nobody knows, no, what tomorrow will bring. So yeah, we have to do our best and yeah, make the best of it.
Okay. Thank you for the interview. It was very interesting. And I'll speak to you later. Até mais.
Okay, thank you, Judy. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.